can be interpreted in so many different ways, and that's kind of the tricky thing about it. I can look at a piece of art and have a certain reaction or think it means something in particular to me, and then the person behind me can have a totally different reaction than me and have a totally different interpretation of it as well. For example, I can walk up to a wall that has a sandwich on it with a nail through it, and I can look at it and be like, this is really stupid. I don't understand why this is here. I'm kind of hungry now. This sandwich looks kind of tasty. I don't know why someone wasted a perfectly good sandwich like this. Now I'm mad. And then someone else behind me can walk up and be like, oh my gosh, I've been searching my whole life for some sort of art that could captivate my feelings like this piece right here. Completely different reaction. But I also think there's some pieces of art out there that are so specific and so to the point that there's really no debate about its meaning or what sort of emotion should be evoked from it. And that's one of those images I chose. It was George Washington crossing the Delaware River. Now, it's important to everyone in the class because we're living in the United States, and George Washington is one of the most important American influences we've had. And I think sometimes we really get wrapped up in today's society and what we're doing now that we kind of forget about the heroes of the past or the people who paved the way to give us everything that we have now. And sometimes it's important to look back and look at images such as George Washington crossing the Delaware for us to really realize how fortunate and how lucky we are to be here today. No one understood how important this particular victory was at the Battle of Trenton more than the guy who created the painting, which was Emanuel Gottlieb Lutz. Now, Lutz was a German American. If you couldn't tell by his name, he had some German roots. He was a German American who was born in 1816, so well after the Revolutionary War happened. And according to the HistoryChannel.com, Lutz was in 1850 watching very closely what was going on in Europe. And Europe during that time was going through a lot of major political reform. A lot of people wanted to change the way of life, what was going on, rules and stuff like that. Well, Lutz wanted to inspire people of Europe to actually take action and try to go through the hardships that they were going through by creating an image that was important to him. So that's why he used his American roots to create the image of George Washington crossing the Delaware. Now, what's going on during this time, the image is created, or the image is depicting 1776, which was the start of the Revolutionary War. And at the start of the Revolutionary War, we had one major victory against the British, and it was at the Battle of Bunker Hill. It was seen across the world that, wow, these Americans might stand a chance against the British forces, who at that time were dominating everyone. And no one actually thought we had a chance, but the Battle of Bunker Hill gave us a little thread of hope that maybe we can take them out. Well, according to ushistory.org, after that particular battle, we lost 10 battles in a row throughout a course of a couple months. And what seemed as though we were going to stop the British and win our independence, it soon became almost fact that we were going to lose the battle by wintertime. Now, George Washington knew this, and George Washington knew that we had to have some sort of victory that was a morale booster and give everyone faith that we can actually win this war. So he decided that in the middle of the night on Christmas night on 1776, we were going to sail to New Jersey and defeat the Hessian forces from Germany. Now, the Hessian forces, according to US.org or ushistory.org, the Hessian forces were mercenaries hired by the British, and they were seen as these brute warriors who were unstoppable, and no one had any sort of chance of taking them down. So the odds were pretty much against us. For one, people thought we couldn't even take out these German mercenaries, and two, a lot of people thought we weren't even going to win the war and get our independence against the British. Well, George Washington knew that we were going to have to somehow bend the odds and defeat these Hessians in New Jersey. So in the middle of the night on Christmas, we sailed across the Delaware River, and we landed in New Jersey and won this major victory the next morning because we completely surprised the Hessian forces. Because who would expect some sort of battle on Christmas night? So it was a major victory, and it was a huge morale booster and very important for the Americans in order to win the American Revolutionary War. If you look at the actual image, it really depicts the hardships that were going on then. It's really interesting. You see everyone has their face kind of down except for George Washington and the guy holding the American flag. Everyone has their face down. It's pretty obvious they're realizing that the odds are against them and that the chances of us actually winning this battle might not be very good. Everyone's covered up because it's trying to depict how blistering cold it was. The two guys with paddles in the front of the ship are removing huge chunks of ice to really just emulate how cold it was and how difficult it was going to be to sail across this river. And what really stands out is how our forces aren't even wearing the same colors. If you notice, all the soldiers have some sort of different color on because we weren't really a united army. We were a band of militiamen who were trying to take down the great army of the British, which was really deemed impossible. So the Battle of Trenton was extremely vital for us in order to win the war. And this image really captivates all the hardships we went through in order to get through that. And it's very important for all Americans to realize that if this battle didn't take place, we wouldn't be here today. And it's images like this that was created by Lutz that really emulate how important we are to be here as Americans and why we should really value where we come from. So, thank you very much.